Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining another episode of the Educational Leadership Podcast. We have another very special guest. We have Superintendent Carroll from Holliday ISD. Superintendent Carroll, thank you for joining us today.
Very honored to be here.
Absolutely. We're honored to have you. So as we kick things off here, if you can, just share a little bit about your background.
My background has been 33 years in education. Spent the first 9 years in Slayton outside of Lubbock, Texas, where I coached, taught junior high science and a little bit of high school math. And from there, I went back to my hometown for a wonderful 11 years as the head football coach. And that led me into the principalship and eventually into where I started my superintendent career. So I was superintendent there for my last 5 years. Went to Crum outside of Denton for 8 years after that, and then happily beginning my 5th year here at Holliday.
Fantastic. And for those listening in, we do want to give a shout out to our sponsor as we kick things off here, Ideal Impact. Ideal Impact's giving away hundreds of millions of dollars to public education. So if your district needs unrestricted funds, reach out to Ideal Impact. Just want to give a shout out to our sponsors as we get going here. Superintendent Carroll, thank you for sharing your background. What's happening at your district right now? What are you passionate about? What are some of the good things that are going on?
Well, here at Holliday, there's lots of great things going on. The one thing that's consuming most of my time right now is we just passed a bond and we're doing lots of construction projects. So we're doing a major overhaul, updating facilities, trying to prepare our district for the future in the best way we know how. And plus, update a lot of our facilities that our kids utilize daily and have been so successful in every aspect of what we do here. The thing that drives me in education is the kids. It's all about the kids. So being able to produce these facilities, build these facilities that make coming to school for them more exciting, being able to compete on new fields with
We're having some technical difficulties. Superintendent Carroll, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, did I freeze up?
Yeah, we froze up a little bit there. We lost you right when you were talking about the fields that you guys are creating, and then it went silent after that.
Okay. Yeah, just the fact that we're being able to build facilities to match the tradition and the excellence that's gone on here at Holliday for a long time, long before I got here. But we're excited to be able to do that through the generosity of our voters and the bond that passed to give us the money to build these facilities.
Got it. It seems like with districts, the new construction is kind of like a never-ending deal. It's like there's always new building. Have y'all seen that at your district? Or I just hear about that all the time about new facility here, new stadium, all that stuff. Is this kind of something new going on at your district?
So yeah, here in Holliday, it took a long time to get started because the money just wasn't there to do any of the facility needs that we had. And then eventually a new elementary is built, and we just added 5 classrooms onto that. The year that I got here, finished up that project, did an overhaul and an addition at the band hall. But yeah, ever since I've been here in 5 years, it's been some sort of construction project has been going on.
That's so interesting. Curious how much of a superintendent's role is tied up with basically construction projects, and does it tie up a lot of time? It seems like just
absolutely, yeah, and especially we're a 3A school, enrollment of about 1,100 kids. So I'm very lucky to have an assistant superintendent who worries about the curriculum side of it and the instruction side of it, because the majority of my time right now is spent dealing with construction managers in construction meetings, keeping up with the bond finance. And so, yeah, there's a lot of time that's spent overseeing those projects.
Got it. And tell us a little bit about your the community that you're in. What's that like? Is that kind of more of a rural community? Is it a growing community?
So yeah, we're a rural community outside of Wichita Falls, about 10 miles west. Um, Holiday is one of those diamonds in the rough that just I was very blessed to get the opportunity to come out here. Knew very little about Holiday when I took the job, but it has honestly been one of the best places I've ever been. The community will come out. If you come out on a Friday night, we're going to have 2,000 people in the stands. It's just unbelievable the amount of support that we get from our community. The kids are fantastic. They work hard. They're driven. They're self-motivated, and the staff that I get to work with here at Holiday is unbelievable. They truly have a heart for kids, and that's what drives every decision that we make. The board is fantastic to work with. And so it's just it's one of those places that you just don't see very often anymore, where you have all those things working together. Our programs are successful. We're coming off of winning the UIL Lone Star Cup for the
Wow.
3A this past year. So it's homecoming week here. We're going to get presented with that award Friday night, right before the football game starts. So there is just a tremendous amount of excitement and great things going on here at Holiday.
Yeah, yeah, that's always an exciting time. Homecoming, plus y'all have that an award. It's amazing. What type of industry is do you see in your community, or and when students graduate, do they typically go work locally, or do they, go out into other areas, or what's that typically look like?
Yeah, so not a lot of industry just here in Holiday proper. I mean, we've got some minerals, we've got some oil companies here that have some wells that they tend to around the area. There's still some farming and ranching in the area. But our kids, once they graduate, they go everywhere. We've got alumni that are very successful in every aspect of life. And we're very proud of that we put kids in the workforce. We put kids into the top colleges in the nation, and either way that they go, they're very successful in what they do.
Yeah, it seems like just after talking to a lot of districts, there's a trend happening where students are going more into the trades. Is that have you seen that at your district? Or
We've got a lot of kids that do that, and honestly, we push that. We have a very strong CTE program. We produce lots of kids that are very good at welding, and we have several kids that go on to make a career out of that. We've got lots of community members. I know we've got electricians, plumbers. All the things that present opportunities for kids to become involved in those areas as well. We've got a CNA program, so we've put several kids into the health care profession, whether it be nursing or whatever else that might look like. We've even got a culinary program that we've got some kids interested in going into food service and hotel service and those type of things. So it's a very big push for what we do here at Holiday. We're wanting to produce kids that are going to be successful in life for whatever reason they or whatever path that they choose. And if it's going into the workforce, we want to try to give them those skills so that they can be successful doing that.
outstanding. Um, in your career, just kind of switching gears a little bit, in your career, obviously you have a lot of experience in different areas of public education. What's been a lesson learned? Something that you overcame that maybe the other superintendents or board members listening in that could help them overcome a similar challenge.
Oh, I've had a good career. I've worked at a lot of good places. There's been some challenging board members to work with along the way, but the most successful places, the most successful boards have been ones that keep kids first and don't get distracted from the things that are going on outside of whatever it is you're trying to accomplish there at the school. I think statewide and even nationwide, there's kind of a struggle going on with perception of public education, and I feel very strongly that we put out top products. We offer an amazing education. and sometimes I feel like that kind of gets discounted or brought into question with some of the things going on politically in our world today. Uh, but I think it's very important to understand that you don't get in teaching for the money. You get in teaching because you have a heart for kids. You've got it. You want to do everything to make sure that they've got every opportunity to be successful. And so that's where we keep our focus and try to keep that at the very pinpointed goal that we have here at Holiday.
How about financial? So I always hear that districts aren't getting enough funding from the state, or what's your take on that, or what's happening at your district?
So yeah, right now we're like everybody else. We've got a very tight budget going into this year. There's lots of things that we would love to do that we're not able to do because of financial constraints. Where I see it is the services that we're kind of looked to provide for our special education population. Those services are kind of we're having to make some tough decisions where those are concerned and staffing, as well as some of the things that we have to have in place to provide whatever the need is. And so those areas are kind of a concern for me. Um, we run a pretty tight ship here anyway. We've historically done more with less as far as staffing is concerned, and we make it work simply because we've got great people in place that don't mind going the extra mile without worrying about compensation. And so, the money that's being held up at the state level, it's a sad situation to see, and it's kind of disheartening in a lot of ways. Um, but as far as making things work, we're able to do that.
Yeah, it seems like when funding gets tight, you gotta certain programs have to be either reduced or eliminated in some do y'all see that sometimes just because
Yeah, that's exactly what happens is, you've only got so much money to work with from year to year. And so, some areas that we would like to pump more money into and enhance the program in some way might get put off for a period of time, or might just be have to not done away with for the year. And
yeah.
so, yeah, we see some of that as a result of the funding.
Yeah, a lot of districts are in similar situations. Curious how you prioritize, like with that limited budget. How do y'all? I mean, yeah, I've heard of things like an impact filter where you kind of break things down on depending on priority. Do you guys have kind of a process to do that, or just get feedback from teachers and
Yeah,
staff?
I mean, everything we do goes through a similar process. Number one, it starts with a conversation with the teachers and the administrative staff that I get to work with because they're at ground zero. They understand the needs. They understand, what needs to happen in order for them to be successful, and in turn for their students to be successful. So the conversations start there, and of course, once I have a good feeling for where that money needs to be funneled, or what program we need to concentrate on, or what resource we need to purchase, then that gets discussed at the board level and we make decisions. And luckily I work with a board that keeps kids at the front of all decisions, and so those conversations are good to have. And once the decision is made, we move forward with whatever decision is made.
That's so interesting because a lot of districts they have, I mean, not a lot of them, but some districts they're in like oil and gas communities or whatever, so they get all this funding, they have more funding, and then others. But it sounds like you guys are doing well regardless. It's just kind of a you got to tighten things up and that sort of thing. Very good. Um, I know we're running short on time a little bit here. As far as less, training, development, that sort of thing. Um, do y'all have any programs like that in place for train development, and or do you have any books that you recommend for other superintendents, or what does that look like?
No, we spend a lot of our time just having internal discussions amongst our staff. I'm not a big latest and greatest type thing coming down the pike, so I don't look at fixing something that's not broken. And here at Holiday, like I say, we've got good people that do a great job on a daily basis. So I'm not one that's going to come in and burden them with a lot of new ideas that may or may not work, and could possibly even derail some of the things that we're doing that are making a difference. And so, what we do is try to stay on top of what we do day to day. If there's an issue that needs to be dealt with, if there's some resource that we need to look into, uh, we concentrate on what we do, and that's kind of where my focus lies. With all the issues going on with the accountability system across the state, we don't talk about star scores. We don't talk about that stuff. We have decent scores. Would I like them to be higher? Yes, but in the end, I'm not one of those that just says they're the end all be all to determine our success or failure as a district. Our kids get a good education. They go on and do great things. And the bottom line is that's what we're after.
Yep. No, absolutely. Well, if there's a potential future community member listening into the podcast, what would you have to say to them about why they should think about your school district versus some of the others that are out there?
That's the easiest question you've asked me. I think Holiday again is a special place. I think what we do for kids is unmatched. I'd put our district up against anybody in the state. I think what we offer kids in the classroom is far and above what you see at a lot of places. And then, of course, what we offer extracurricular and in the programs is just unmatched. Our music program is very successful. Our academic program is at the state level every year. And so our staff does a tremendous job in making sure that if a student wants to be involved in every activity, they have the ability to do that. So we're not asking kids to pick one over the other, and we're sure not going to have staff members that fight over kids. We want the overall best for whatever that student wants to be involved in, and we're going to make it work as far as them having access to that. I think just the overall what we offer as far as our community goes. It's homecoming week here, and so last night we had a parade, or Wednesday night was our parade, and the number of community that came out and just attended the parade and were supportive of our kids. It's just amazing to see. So, we have all the things that we can offer at that level. Plus, we still have the small town feel. I hope to keep that as much as we can, because the community feel and everything else is what makes Holiday special.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's so it's often overlooked, right? That like just in general, that the importance of that sense of community and just feel like you're part of something bigger than yourself, and
Right.
it's very good. Okay, last question of the podcast here. If is there a leader in your career that you recommend come on the podcast and be interviewed as well?
I've had lots of great people that have gone on ahead of me. Unfortunately, most of them are retired right now. I look back to my high school experience, and my math teacher at Meta High School, Miss Beverly Anderson, was the one that kind of got me thinking about a career in education. And I credit her with a lot of that moving forward. Mike Davis is one that's given me several opportunities along the way. I followed him at Meta. He was a superintendent that hired me, gave me the head coaching job back there that eventually led to the superintendent career, and then followed him at Crum as well. So the opportunities that he has kind of been responsible for has been tremendous. And then there's been lots of good mentors and lots of good people in my life, but that's what you get if you're involved in education. You get to work and be associated with lots of really great people.
Outstanding. You're absolutely right. We've interviewed so many great leaders in public education, superintendents, board members, and so it's always a privilege to have leaders such as yourself on the podcast. So thank you for joining us today on the podcast.
Oh, you bet. This was fun.
Yes, yes. It's always great to meet great people. Before we close out, we do want to give a shout out to our sponsor one more time. Ideal Impact. Ideal Impact's giving hundreds of millions of dollars away to public education in the form of a free gift. So if your district needs higher teacher salaries or unrestricted funds for any of your district needs, reach out to Ideal Impact. And for those that have been tuning in, stay tuned for future episodes of the Educational Leadership Podcast.